Welcome into Mean Green Mania. I am your host, Wyatt Schott, joined alongside Houston Hall, Carson Stark, John Phillips. And while we were gone, 2 games happened for the UNT men's basketball team. We are here to discuss them on top of A Block. Guys, it was, on one hand, a really good win against Temple, and then a really frustrating loss against Tulane. But let's talk about positives first. We talk about winners first here, so we're going to talk against the Temple game. And that was one where it came down to the wire, 65 to 62. Houston, I'm going to start with you. Just give me an overall breakdown of what you saw in that game.
Well, I thought what we said last week about the game really hit the head of the nail there, with turnover count being the most important part of that game. UNT had minus 11 turnovers, 16-5, and that really became the most important thing. And I liked what Carson said last week about just do simple better, fast breaks, layups. What was important is not so much that they had the turnover edge so much, but it's a lot of live ball turnovers. If the team travels, it's a turnover, but you still got to go and have a good offensive possession. But I think E.J. Horton had 5 steals or something like that. It was just steal, dunk. And they got down 12, and I started thinking, we might not score 12 more points all game. There's 16 minutes left, but we still may not score 12 more points, just offensively. But E.J. Horton had a big game off the bench. C.J. Stinson did a good job as well. And they just did a great job of getting out into the open court and, going to the basket after we got the steal at half court. Just go, forget all that slow pace crap we were talking about last week. Let's just go to the freaking basket.
Right.
So.
And I think E.J. Horton had 12 points as well.
Yeah, 12 points.
Yeah, if you can get 12, if you can get 12
points
from him off the bench, you're going to be in good shape in a lot of these conference
Absolutely.
games. Dylan Arnett is another guy who led the team in scoring with 14 points. Now, I know that we're going to talk a little bit later about Dylan Arnett and some of the stuff that happened in the Tulane game. But if you told me going into the Temple that Dylan Arnett was going to be our leading scorer and we were going to win, I would have been shocked. I would have been stunned. But UNT found a way to do it. Carson, I'll move on to you. Just overall thoughts about the game that we saw against Temple.
I want to kind of touch on something I said last week. A win is a win. Whether Dylan Arnett is leading us in scoring or not, winning is a win. And I also want to point out today how basketball is really just a game of runs. We saw UNT go on a huge 15-0 run that really shifted the game, really creating turnovers like Houston said, and even to just get rid of that lead that Temple did have at some point, being able to come down and do the little stuff right. And I know we talk about turnovers a lot, but that's just such a big thing, is because even like Houston said, whenever you have a traveling violation, you come down and you have an opportunity to score, and when they don't get a shot attempt, that's a huge win for your defense, and that's really where it starts at. I want to note that David Rachel came down, knocked some crucial free throws down at the end, and it was just a great win for UNT.
Yeah, absolutely. Picking it up on the road. Anytime you can win in conference play on the road, it does not matter the quality of opponent. It is important, especially as you get ever so closer to March. John, thoughts on the game against Temple?
I mean, yeah, David Terrell and Deshaun Stevenson weren't really scoring like they do in some games, like they did in the Tulane game. But, the defense was really what changed the game. The turnovers that were forced, we got out on the fast break a lot. And I think that even when your guards are off, if you force turnovers, if you get on those runs, you're going to win games no matter what. So I think it was a big game for us, especially with how we were in the past couple games before that. It was a big win for us momentum-wise.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And you're carrying that win over into the Thursday game at home against Tulane. And it looked like for a long time it was going to be another UNT win. We were going to solidify our spot in the American Conference Tournament, and then disaster kind of struck. Houston, I want you to tell me, break down the sequence of events that led to the collapse for this UNT team.
The sequence of events. Okay, so from my perspective, it was looking like potentially the best offensive performance they've put together all year. I mean, you see the box score, David Terrell, 21 points and over 70% from the field. Deshaun Stevenson, not as efficient, but he had a 20-piece as well. What baffled me really is that I feel like a lot of that lead was built up not based off, those 3 guys obviously put in a huge night scoring-wise, but energy from guys like Kamai Crosby and Buddy Hammer Jr. off the bench is what really boosted that. Kamai Crosby came in and had a couple big threes. Buddy Hammer Jr. is slowly but surely showing to be the best 1 through 5 defender we have on the team, just with his hustle. And he's got good size at about 6'7". He's kind of undersized for big men, but he can get the job done. And so what really baffled me is why we really took him out down the stretch. And then we got 2 guys that are hot like that. I was just a little bit confused also why we chose to go to Dylan Arnett 3 times in a row. I think one of which was a turnover, one of which he got blocked, and then the other one he just missed in a game where he had 6 points on 3 of 8 from the field. So I was just a little bit confused by that. It was very disappointing to lose the game. We were up, I think, 15 with 11:33 left, and then from that point forward, we got outscored 33-14.
Oof. That Temple game gave them too much confidence in Arnett. You know,
It did
went to Arnett,
something, yeah.
They were like,
It
"Oh,
did
Arnett's leading
something.
scorer, you know,
Memphis
give him
win.
the ball." You know.
Yeah, but
That was the turning point in Dylan Arnett's season.
Yeah.
From that point on, he was going to be our go-to guy right now.
Over
well,
Deshaun
the thing, if you're the
Stevenson.
go-to guy, you know, you can be the go-to guy and you can still be bad. Like that, like that is possible. Like just because you're the go-to guy does not mean that it's like working out. You know, there's a reason that we're 6-8 in conference right now. Maybe we've been going to the go-to guy a little bit too much. But I was just, I was a little bit confused by the choice of personnel and the choice of play calling as well. I mean, David Terrell was getting to the basket at will, it felt like, and for once in his life, the boy was knocking down some free throws.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't know why we didn't try to get the most athletic guy on the court going to the cup or something, but that was just my opinion on that.
You can see on Houston's face, he's deeply bothered by the things that transpired on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you don't have to talk about it anymore. Carson, I'll move on to you. Just overall thoughts on the Tulane game and just kind of the collapse from that we saw from
Hey,
the
I think Houston kind of said it all. he let it out. It's really disappointing, to be honest with you. We went on a nice win streak there, and the Memphis win was just such a huge win for our program. I feel like just a momentum builder. You know, going back to the point we made last week, where it's a new season, we have new people, and wins like that are really solidify confidence in the locker room. Coming out and blowing a lead on the same hat I just talked about, where you come back on the road, giving up a lead at home, and I think they went on like an 8-0 run towards the end of the second half. Those things can't happen, and when that happens, little stuff matters more. Like if you look at the box score, they made 4 more threes at 3% higher percentage, but that goes a long way. The 2 less turnovers they had, the slight advantage they had as far as field goal percentage, those little things, those little errors, those little mishaps matter more whenever you come down and you don't protect your home court, and especially whenever you're getting up leads. Down the stretch, I also was confused with the play calling. I thought Jay Sean had a really good game. David Terrell shot 72%, like we noted. It's a really efficient game. He was dishing the ball out effectively. I think it's just something that, you know, Coach Robinson's going to have to maybe learn as we conclude the season and hopefully going into the future.
Yeah.
And now our season, it's scary because that game could have clinched us, or not clinched us, but given us in a really good position for the American tournament. Now it's a little bit scary now.
It's still up in the air.
Yeah, it's still up in the air. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Buddy Hammer, Houston, and I think Buddy Hammer should have played a lot more down the stretch. The effort he gives, it's what happened in the Temple game. You know, he gives effort and we get turnovers, we get fast breaks, and we change the game. And against Tulane, down the stretch, we just didn't do that. And I don't know why. Coach Robinson, it was bad coaching from him. And this season, there's been a couple games where he's had coaching issues, and it's made me concerned about him.
And also, from my perspective, I know you never want to, after a tough game like that, blame officiating or anything like that, but I will say that it kind of felt like, you know how sometimes if the foul count gets lopsided, it feels like that they start calling ticky-tack stuff on the other end to
Some
like even
makeup
it
calls.
out.
Yeah.
We definitely like had some of that going on. I mean, there was several plays where like, it happened to Buddy Hammer twice, I think, where it's just like he did a good job moving his feet and his hands were like straight up, and they said tweet, you know, and I was like, I don't, it was just, you know, overall, it was just a very frustrating game to watch, especially down the stretch in that second half.
Yeah, I think three-point shooting was a big difference in this game. I mean, only 4 for 12 from UNT. You shoot it at a decent clip, I guess. I don't know. The team hasn't been a good three-point team all season long, and that's not going to change. But whenever you only make 4 a game, you leave yourself susceptible to comebacks from teams that really aren't even in the game. At one point, when you're up 15 with 11 minutes to go, like that thing's pretty much solidified, especially in college basketball.
Yeah.
I know maybe the NBA it's a little bit different, but like if you got a 15-point lead that you can sit on for 10 minutes, you should be fine. But when you only make 4 3-pointers a game, anything can happen. And that's we talked about last week. I said Gonzaga was a team that I was low on because of their lack of 3-point shooting, and these are the reasons. Like teams, if they're hot, they can come back on you and beat you, and you could be the better team, and it doesn't really matter. So now things are up in the air for UNT. Moving on, they have to take on FAU. That will be a huge game in terms of determining who is going to be in the American Conference Championship. Houston, we talked about this before the show. I just wanted to mention real quick. You said in the Temple game, we came out in like a 1-3-1 kind of look.
This is accurate. We did come out in a 1-3-1, but it really baffled me why, again, the personnel and why we chose to put certain players. If it were me, I would have my biggest man in the middle. I would have my 2 most athletic guys on the bottom and
The
top, and then you got to have, you know, your longest athletic guys on the wings because they got to do this and this. But you've got Reese Robinson who just can't move on the bottom, and it was a whole
it was kind of a fiasco with the 1-3-1 stuff.
Yeah.
I commend them for throwing things out there and trying, but just not being able to.
Yeah, we got a couple threes hitting our face when we were running the 1-3-1 too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming up next, though, we're going to look at some of the biggest storylines across the sport of college basketball. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here with Mean Green Mania.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell, and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my God, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my God.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Welcome back to Mean Green Mania. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and now we are going to take a look at some of the biggest storylines that have happened in the sport since we met last week on last Saturday. And there's been a lot that has happened. It has been a chaotic week of college basketball, as it should be every week that we get closer to March. Things should get a little crazier, a little more hectic. And I think the most crazy part about it was the UCLA Mick Cronin ejection fiasco. I mean, I have not seen anything like that in ever. I've never seen a coach eject his own player from a game for a hard foul.
Not even a technical.
Not even a technical. It got upgraded to a flagrant 1, but that was it. And you don't have to get ejected for a flagrant 1. The thing that I was most confused by is you're down by 27 points, and you are full court pressing. Sure, go ahead. Keep the dogs on and go ahead and try to force the turnovers, make things interesting. It's college basketball, whatever. But that's going to lead you to leak outs and plays at the rim, and it's also going to make you and the other team frustrated because of the situation. And so when one of your guys commits a hard foul, then you can't throw a temper tantrum and make a scene and embarrass the kid and throw him out of the game in front of a hostile road environment and on national television. It just doesn't make any sense to me. A lot of things that Mick Cronin has done this year hasn't made any sense to me. And then there's a whole other part of it with the after the game stuff that we can get into. Houston, talk about the Mick Cronin stuff.
Well, first of all, like I said before the show, I'm not a big fan of Coach Cronin. Like I was saying, it feels like he's kind of like Coach Signetti from Indiana in football, except just without all of the success this season. It's like his team is, they're fighting for a tournament spot, but he's still saying all the same things in the media that you can tell are just for clicks, and it just feels like he's hungry for attention. I kind of wonder if that's why he threw the kid out. If he just wanted to make himself feel better, he thought, oh, that's a hard foul, on the road. Like, I gotta throw this kid out to make myself look like I'm a, personable coach or whatever. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. I saw a video that he claims to have apologized to the player now because he went and rewatched the video and realizes that he was wrong. We'll never know if that actually happened or not. He also claims to have watched the video and thinks, I don't even know if it deserved a flagrant 1. And Tommy Izzo said he didn't know either. I'm like, well, you know what?
Maybe you shouldn't have thrown your own player.
Maybe we should have just, waited and actually watched because, they play it on the
They
jumbo
play
time.
it immediately after.
I'm like, so I don't know what he was doing. It just, that type of topic is just, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it just
Yeah.
because you can tell he's just hungry for attention anyways, and it's taking attention off of the actual play on the court, in my opinion.
I think he knows his job is over. I think he knows he's getting fired at the end of the season, and he's just doing whatever he can. You know, pressing down 27, getting mad at hard fouls. He just in his mind, he's just trying to find something that'll work for the team, and he can't because he's not coaching well this season. They've been a really badly coached team this year, and I think that's going to continue for the rest of the season because, like you said, Cronin is just saying all the wrong things in the media this year.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's inexcusable. You know, whenever you're having a bad game, you're trying to do things like press or get back into the game. It's just a cherry on top. It's embarrassing for him, and for him to come out and apologize about it and say, "Oh, actually, I think it's supposed to be. It shouldn't have been a flagrant." Like, dude, if you're so frustrated, I think just as a coach and as a leader of men, you know, guys who are trying to go to the next level, whether it's in the NBA or overseas or anything like that, you're having a tough season, like where they're like 7-6 in conference play. They're trying to fight for a conference tournament spot and then a March spot. Throwing your own player out is just inexcusable. He's got to be better. He's got to be better just as a leader of men, not so much about basketball. It's beyond the sport then. Like throwing him out like he's Antonio Brown who has CTE or something like that. Like it's just a young man, you know, who committed a foul that was questionably flagrant and wasn't impactful in the game. It wasn't like he fouled and they were roaring a comeback. No, it's over. And it almost does seem like engagement bait in real life.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable.
And then, of course, immediately after the game, he has the comments saying that it was the worst question he'd ever been asked. And then he asked the reporter, "Are you raising your voice at me?"
When he didn't raise his voice
him?
at
That was
all.
him.
Dude,
That was him?
so
That was him.
embarrassing.
Bro, get him out of here.
That was immediately
Make
after.
sure you-
That was immediately after the
Make
ejection.
sure you leave on your way out.
Everyone's recording, man. They all saw that.
It was ridiculous. And so, yeah, Mick Cronin, UCLA, embarrassing for a rich basketball program with a long history in UCLA. Moving on, though, bad news in college basketball, especially for the man Carson right here. JT Toppin of Texas Tech tears his ACL. He is out for the remainder of the season. Toppin, this is something that I talked about last week and saying I commended him for coming back another year. And players now able to do that because of NIL, and it's not a financial burden for them to not return. But with Toppin tearing his ACL, I mean, that is not only life-changing for him, but program-altering for Texas Tech. Carson, I want to know what your thoughts are.
It's devastating. First and foremost, you know, fanatics aside, I pray for JT Toppin. I pray that he comes back healthy. You know, he's a National Player of the Year contender. That's the right word. This year, he's been playing great basketball. He had a great game against Arizona, at Arizona, to take down the #1 team in the nation. So I just pray for his health and pray that he comes back okay. For college basketball, it's devastating. You never want to see a guy like him go down on a play like that in a game where he wasn't having the greatest game in an upset where they stormed the court and everything like that. But it stinks, even with like the Richie Saunders ACL injury, you never want to see it. It's been such a great year of college basketball, not only for freshmen, but guys who are juniors like JT Toppin. Hopefully he comes back next year and he's able to be back the same player that he is. He's definitely an NBA player in the future. And it's devastating, but as far as Texas Tech, you got to see guys come and step up, guys like LaVon Watts, Atwell, who shoots the ball really well. Christian Anderson obviously is going to be the biggest impact out of this because he's going to be facing more double teams, stuff like that. The attention was so much on JT Toppin because of the pressure he put on the rim. So I guess it's going to be really interesting to see how Christian Anderson could try and help Texas Tech. But at this point, I don't know if they make it out of the first weekend of March.
That's kind of the scary part of this in terms of for Texas Tech. Where do they go from here? You say Christian Anderson, that's probably going to be their go-to scoring guy. We'll just have to see. On the more positive side, though, a big game for Darius Acuff and a loss to Alabama, but I think we learned more about Arkansas in this game. 115 to 117 they lose, but Darius Acuff goes off for 49 points. And I kind of want to open up this discussion. Is this the best Calipari guard he has ever had? Now, there is some tough competition. Tyreek Evans, John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, and Derrick Rose. Yeah, I think Derrick Rose is the guy for me that I would put him behind. Yeah. But I mean, I think Darius Acuff has had a better season than Tyreek and John Wall and De'Aaron Fox, and that says something. I mean, John Wall is the #1 overall pick. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is a top 5 pick, I believe. And so these are Tyreek Evans won Rookie of the Year in the NBA. So these are elite guys that we're talking about. Where do y'all see Darius Acuff in that kind of discussion?
I think in terms of seasons, like you said, he might be having the best season on that list. The scoring and passing combo. I mean, I think he's leading the league in SEC in points and assists right now. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But I think when you look at the talent of these guys, like you said, those guys all had NBA careers. I don't think Acuff matches up. I think John Wall, Derrick Rose, these are elite NBA level guys, and I don't think Acuff has that level of talent in him. I don't think he has the defensive chops these guys have, the all-aroundness of them. I think that he is the last on that list for me in terms of talent.
Really?
Yeah, I think that all those guys on that list are more talented. And will have better NBA careers. Other than maybe Tyreek Evans, but that's a little bit not because of the talent, I'd say. So I think talent-wise, he might be the worst on that list.
Is that reciprocated? Y'all feel the same way?
I don't know if I'd say he's the last on that list. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the best either, though, just because I think that the almighty point is starting to lose its value in college basketball.
That is very true.
I mean, 49, that's obviously a big deal, but they go and they still lose. We have talking about A.J. Devanza on there, 35 in a loss to Arizona. A.J. Devanza has scored over 25 points 4 times this season in a loss.
Yeah.
So I just think that, if you had 25 points 10 years ago, we'd hear about it for the rest of the season. 25 points now is a 90-second package in the local news. So it's just like the 49 is obviously a big deal, but I just think it was, I don't know if he played 10 years ago, whenever there wasn't NIL and there wasn't 28-year-old men playing college basketball, and it was just like a more normal time. I don't know if he could have gone out and got 49 for those Calipari teams. I think that I would take what does DeMarcus Cousins always say? This is John Wall, number one. Yeah, I think I would take either John Wall or Derrick Rose over Darius Acuff still.
I also think those teams had more talent around them than this Arkansas team.
Yes.
Like the Kentucky teams of Calipari they were stacked with NBA players. This Arkansas team has maybe 2 first-round picks on it, so I think that that's a big difference for why he's able to get those big numbers compared to those guards.
I also think playing Alabama and the pace, because you have so many more possessions in that game, and it goes to double OT. And so that was another reason why he was able to explode for 49. Carson?
I was just going to say, I agree with Houston. I don't think he's the worst, but I also don't know if he's the best. I kind of want to shed light on the performance. If you go on, NBA Twitter pages or college basketball Twitter pages where they just show every bucket he had some just elite buckets. I can see him being a decent NBA player. I don't know if he's going to be as good as the guys like Derrick Rose or John Wall, but he's been playing great basketball. I think it's really, you have to tip your hat to Coach Calipari. Of course, one of the best college basketball coaches ever, but the way he develops guards and he always has his teams competing every night, I think it's a test to him and just the ability of Darius Acuff.
I'm all in on Darius Acuff. I really am. I think that this guy is probably the best freshman point guard in the country. I think Darian Peterson, I'm calling him a combo guard. I think he's the best freshman point guard in the entire country. And so this is a guy that he played 40 minutes, main ball handler, 49 points, he had 1 turnover. I mean, that to me as a freshman guard is incredibly impressive. And you're going against guys that can really play, in like Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon.
On the road, too.
On the road in a hostile environment, and you're trying to solidify key spots in the SEC tournament.
Efficient scoring.
Darius Acuff, he's averaging 22 on the year. He was a 5-star player out of high school, the #1 point guard in the country coming out of high school. I just think that this is a guy whose game is going to translate really well to the NBA. He can score from all 3 levels. I do agree you said don't have the defensive chops of some of those guys. Definitely does not. That is the weakest part of his game. And Derrick Rose and John Wall were really, really good on-ball defenders. That's where he falls short in terms of those guys. But I think he's a much better scorer than what Derrick Rose was, especially at Memphis. I mean, Rose averaged 14 a game at Memphis. I think that Darius Acuff is one of the best point guards in the country. I really hope that he can find some real success in the NBA where he can get an opportunity to play. I like Darius Acuff a lot. I think that he can really, really play.
I think the offensive game is perfect for the NBA game. I do think it will translate. But, I think the league's just moving away from these smaller guards that can't play defense. We saw Trae Young get dumped for nothing. We've seen Darius Garland get moved. We've seen, Jalen Brunson is struggling in the playoffs. I think that with all these guards struggling, I don't know if Darius Acuff is ever going to be a winning player. But I do think that his offensive game is going to translate. I think he'll be able to score the ball. I think he'll be able to lead an offense. But I just don't know if he'll be able to win games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and so moving on, Iowa State. Big time performances. Back-to-back wins against Houston and Kansas. And Carson, I have to bring it up. I can't ignore it. It's the elephant in the room. You said last week that they were one of your most overrated, the pretender, sorry. Not most overrated, but a pretender in terms of March, which they still could be. I don't know. I mean, maybe they go on and get upset in the first 2 rounds. It's kind of hard to see that as much.
You see, what happened was I didn't have my bowl of cereal that morning. I decided to go Pop-Tarts. They say Pop-Tarts cause cancer. So because Iowa State was playing great basketball, I was definitely sleeping. My guy was being a casual Iowa State fan. That Kansas one really showed me a lot, even though, DNP, subbed out early. But Iowa State plays great basketball. I love the way they move the ball. They get the ball to the guys who score for them. They play solid defense. I like the camaraderie. That's a hard word for me, I'm sorry. Of their team. And I was definitely sleeping. I just have to take this one on the chin. But I'm going to stand on that. I don't think they're making it to the Sweet 16. But you might as well double.
You might as well double.
I don't even know where now, but they're playing great basketball. Shout out to the Cyclones.
I think I'm going to throw myself into that too, because I didn't call him a pretender or anything, but I definitely think that I wasn't as high on Iowa State 7 days ago as I am now. I mean, they proved me wrong with a couple big wins. shooting really well from three as a team still, like 37 and 41% as a team in each of those two games. Something that's really interesting to me is they played against Houston and shot 50% from the free throw line and still won. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before, and I've seen a lot of teams shoot 50% from the free throw line because I go to UNT. So, yeah, they've really impressed me, and they've changed my mind about them. I was just looking for them to get a big win. They got two of them in the same week. So I'm looking for them to have a big run now.
Yeah, I mean, I was high on them last week, so I can't join you guys. I thought they were going to win, and they just proved me right. You know, they were great. We talked about Milan Momcilovic last week, and I think that the shooting that he brings to the team is just, you can't match that impact. To have a 50% shooter from three on the court at all times, more than 50%. That impact to your spacing and what it does for your offense just allows you to win, even if the rest of your players aren't hitting shots. So I think Iowa State is a dangerous team when it comes to March.
Milan can really play, man. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know what he's going to project like NBA-wise.
I think if you shoot that well and you're that size, no matter what, you have a role.
You have a spot.
Absolutely.
I'm curious to see what his NBA scouting report looks like. Like, where do they kind of value him?
How tall is he?
I think he's 6'8".
I think,
and he shoots 50% from three.
Yeah, and it's like so much attention that the defense has to worry about. It's like, hey, don't leave him open if he makes it half the time or more than half the time. You can get on the court really anyway. Like you can be Duncan Robinson if you want.
It just depends on if his defense is passable.
He's 6'8".
Oh yeah, he can easily be a Duncan Robinson.
You can have a great career in the NBA, especially at that size. If you can shoot 50% from three and just play like defense.
His shot is so pure.
Just be out there defensively.
Even if you aren't out there defensively, I mean, Luke Kennard has a long career and he does.
If you can shoot that well, you will play because you have to be able to shoot in the league. Like, if you throw him on a team like the Thunder who's not able to shoot that well this year, he'll go out there and he'll play. He'll go out there and he'll play.
Joshua Jefferson and Tamin Lipsey also have been really, really key players for this team.
There's been a lot of
Tamin Lipsey's good, dude. He's really good.
Great facilitator.
They play smothering defense, and I think they have one of the most underrated home court advantages in all of college basketball. Ames goes crazy for their sports.
It's wild.
What else is there to do there? I
That's
mean,
a great point.
You just got to turn out for the
20
team.
degrees and blowing snow flurries. They can't go outside. They play basketball.
They have had some smothering performances. They 20 balls against St. John's, against Creighton and Syracuse, and those were fringe tournament teams and some other big ones as well. But coming up next, we are going to talk about some of the mid-majors in college basketball who are the real contenders out of the G6. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Mean Green Mania.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounced checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
What's wrong? Are you stuck in your paper?
Pretty much. I haven't written anything in like an hour.
Why don't you check out the Writing Center at UNT?
Well, how do I meet up with them?
All you have to do to make an appointment is visit the Writing Center's website and either call the number or email writingcenter@unt.edu. The appointment is 30 minutes long, and the trained tutors will be able to help with brainstorming, correcting grammar, ensuring clarity, and a wide range of services. They also do walk-in appointments.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
So, when's this paper due?
30 minutes.
For more information, visit the UNT Writing Center's website.
Yeah, it's 6 pages.
Welcome back to Mean Green Mania. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and we, being at North Texas, want every chance we can to give some love to the mid-majors, to the smaller schools, being a smaller school ourselves. And so we're going to take a look at some of the best G5s or mid-major schools across all of college basketball who have real chances to make some noise in March, go out there and win their conference tournament. We were talking about this before. I don't think any of us are going to touch on any Sun Belt teams. The Sun Belt is crazy. I mean, it's razor-thin margins at the top. There's like 4 teams that are tied for first, basically, or they're like a half game behind first. That's what I love about college basketball. With the automatic qualifiers, you have conferences that don't really have any good teams. and they're going to get a seed in March, and then who knows what happens once they get in March. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
awesome.
beauty of college basketball. I mean, the fact that any team can make the tournament, really, if you make your conference tournament, you have a chance to be in the biggest tournament of the season, and yeah, that's beautiful.
All right, Houston, we're going to go down the line and start with you first. Give me a team out of the mid-majors that you think can really make some noise and compete in March Madness.
Well, I'm going to go with a team that's made a ton of noise here in the past few years, and that's going to be Utah State. Hasn't Utah State had like multiple different coaches and like all
They
these
have.
March
Yeah, they
Madness
have.
runs? It's like 3 different coaches or something.
Yes.
that have so and there's a real program over there. At
There
this
is,
point.
100%.
And, you know, Utah State is one of those teams that like they might be the only bid from their conference. Probably not. The Mountain West has, you know,
They have some good teams.
yeah, other teams that could make it, but they're not going to slip in there as like a 12. A lot of times Utah State's, you know, 9, 10, you know, or so.
I think they were in 8 a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when they played TCU in the first round, I think they
Yes.
might have been
Yeah.
eight or
Yes,
nine
it
then,
is.
yeah. But Utah State is a great team that can fill it up on the stat sheet. 84 points a game as a team, shooting 51% as a team. You got 2 guys that can really do it at the highest level. You got Mason Falslev. He was there last year. We had to play him with UNT. We lost.
Of course.
Back when we were actually good.
Naturally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Classic.
He's great. You know, he shoots scores 16 points a game. 5 rebounds, 42% from 3. MJ Collins Jr. is another guy that can really fill it up with the best of them. 18 points a game. And it's hard to get 2 guys at a mid-major like that can just flat out put some jelly in the donut, if you will. Like, I mean, they can score with the best of them. And when you've got a mid-major team like that, you can go a long way off 2 guys that can just really put it in the hoop like that.
Yeah, MJ Collins had a 40-point game earlier this season. He can really, really play. He's a transfer, first year at Utah State. MJ Collins is really, really nice.
And they had back-to-back losses against UNLV and GCU. Since then, they're on an 8-game winning streak. So look out for Utah State in March.
We hoop at GCU.
Shut up. No, we don't.
We hoop. Amari Bailey.
Oh my gosh.
Carson, I'll move on to you though. Give me a mid-major team that you think can really make some noise.
You know, Coach Robinson in the meet. No, I'm just kidding. I want to shout out to the Liberty Flames. They're playing really great in conference, but I don't think they've lost. They have a shooting percentage as a team of over 40% from downtown. And like we spoke on about Iowa State, being able to shoot the ball is just such a great quality just in college basketball where guys, you know, aren't the best shot makers yet because they're still developing and coming up. A guy like Brett Decker he scores the ball at a really high efficiency rate. He shoots over 50% from the field and then almost 50% from the 3 line. So being able to just have guys that make impacts like that on defenses. Liberty has had a great program for some years. I'm going to shout out to Chris Parker, assistant coach at TCU, one of my AU coaches. He had a great run with Liberty as well. I just love the program they have up there with the Flames. They play good basketball. They put the ball in the hoop. They play great defense in their conference, and I think they'll be someone to look out for come March.
You know what I think is so interesting? I'm looking at Liberty's Ken Palm. They, for as much success as they have had, they have the second to lowest average height of a team, with an average height of 75.2 inches. And
How many feet is that?
they have the lowest offensive rebounding percentage in the entire country.
Wow.
They are 365th in the country with a 19.4 offensive rebound percentage. And they're still a 3-loss team. They're still 23-3. So I think that's a testament to just a really well-coached team, if you ask me. I think that that's a great pick right there with Liberty. John, I'll move on to you, mid-major.
I'm going to go with a team from the MAC conference, and it is not Miami of Ohio. Don't give me the Redbirds. Give me Akron. They've made the tournament a couple years. They have John Gross. He's been there. He's done that. And they have Tavari Johnson. I think he's one of the guards that you want on a mid-major going into March. He scores 20 points a game. He barely turns the ball over. He shoots the ball really well. And they have a top 20 offense in the nation, Akron. Top 20. And they get no love. They are one of the best mid-majors this season, but because they lost by 3 to Miami, they don't get that love. But I think if they match up again in the conference tournament, I see Akron getting that win. And I think that offense is so explosive that they have a chance against anyone in March because of the shots they make.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I think that's a great point. I'm gonna go with mine. I'm gonna take High Point. High Point is a team that has had success in the NCAA tournament recently. They just played Purdue last year, and it was a very competitive game. Purdue ended up pulling away at the end, but this High Point team can really compete. They got some dudes that can really play. Multiple players that are averaging over 15 a game, and Terry Anderson and Rob Martin. They are really, really, really good at turning teams over. We talked about this before the show. I was telling you all like High Point turns teams over a lot. A fourth of all possessions for opposing teams are resulting in turnovers for High Point. 25% is fourth in all of college basketball, and also they are fourth on the flip side of that stat. They only turn the ball over 12% of possessions, so they're really good at protecting the ball. They're really good at forcing turnovers. I think that kind of chaos defensively and then control offensively is what makes for upsets in March. So High Point is a team that I think it can really compete in terms of the mid-majors. They are leading their conference right now as well. Houston, back to you. You got another one?
I do, yeah. So contrary to the last pick that I had, I'm going to go with a team that's a little bit new to the table. That's going to be the Belmont Bruins over in the Missouri Valley Conference.
A little MVC.
A little MVC, yes. I'm a big fan of the MVC. Ever since Drake, Indiana State, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of those two teams are really teams that have ran that conference, and Belmont is, like I said, new to the table. They've got a commanding lead on that conference right now. They're 3 games above the teams that are tied for second right now. At this point in the season, that's sitting pretty well with first place in the conference going into conference tournament season. That's another team that can score a ton of points a game. They're almost 84 points a game as well.
They shoot it at an elite clip.
They do, yeah. 3 out of they've got, unlike the last 2 guys, or the last team that I had, they had 2 guys that could kind of score the majority of the points. Belmont has 4 guys that average between 10 and 15 points a game, and 3 out of those 4 guys are shooting 37% from 3 or better. 2 out of those 3 are over 40%. So yeah, it's an elite shooting team. And like we were talking about earlier, teams that can shoot the 3-point well, look out for them in March.
Yeah, because if you catch fire, then it doesn't really matter how good the opponent is.
And if Belmont is able to win that conference and make it to the tournament, they're not going to be slipping in at 16 seed. They're going to be safely in as about a 12. And so you get to play a little bit lower competition as a 5. In a 5.
That 12-5 game is always dangerous.
Yeah, 12-5 is always dangerous, and if you win, you're likely looking at a 4. Look, Belmont might be a second weekend team. Who knows? I don't think that's crazy to say.
It depends on the path for sure, but
it
they
really
are
does,
capable.
yeah. And also, 3-point shooting, sometimes it does dry up, but if they can hit 3s in March, look out for the Belmont Bruins.
Yeah, they are number 1 in the entire nation in effective field goal percentage. Over 60% from the field. That takes out heaves and garbage shots. They are shooting 61% from the field and 41% from 3 as a team. That is good for 3rd in the entire nation. And just to add on to that, 6th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage at 60%. So the kids just don't miss.
Right.
They don't do a lot of missing. They do a lot of making. And so, I think the Belmont is a team that you can definitely watch for in March. Carson, give me another mid-major that you got.
I like St. Peter's. I think I might be having some recency bias just about the little Cinderella there they had here recently. But I like the basketball they play. I love the program that they have up there. They've been doing a pretty good job of being resilient all year. I make that point because they just got absolutely killed at Seton Hall. Seton Hall also a great program. But I like the players that they have. They have guys who get downhill, they put the ball in the bucket. I think I caught one of their games, I want to say in December, I think on ESPN Plus, something like that, trying to watch a UNT game. And I like what they did defensively. I like their coaching. I like how they played together as a team. I'm more so looking for them to try and win their conference. I'm really interested in that conference, and they got some good teams out there. In March, I'll have to see. I don't really like the way they shoot the ball. I think shooting the ball is just such an important asset, especially in college basketball, like I touched on, with Liberty and Iowa State. St. Peter's, I think I might be having some recency bias with them, but I have a good feeling about the Peacocks. I just do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you said, the recency bias. Upsetting Kentucky, making it all the way to the Elite 8 a couple of years ago. I mean, that was an elite run by the Peacocks. Put kind of them on the map in terms of in the college basketball eye, similar to UMBC when they beat Virginia. And so, John, now I'll go back to you, your last mid-major team.
We've had a lot of explosive offenses, Liberty, Akron, a lot of explosive offenses. This last team is a more slow-paced, more like the old UNT team.
I was going to say, it sounds like UNT.
You better not say UNT.
It makes sense because they're coached by Matt Brower, a former assistant when we beat Purdue, Stephen F. Austin. I think that they play that type of basketball where when you get to March, you can grind out wins against teams that might be better than you because they play good defense. They take good shots. They don't turn over the ball. They have an elite backcourt. Keon Thompson averages 18 points a game. And man, watching him operate in the half court, it's pretty crazy to watch. But they play a lot like UNT in the past where it's a really, really, really slow pace. And I think that in March, if you limit the amount of possessions that a great team has, they have less of a chance to pull away and make it a blowout. So you're always in the game. And I think Stephen F. Austin is going to make it a game in March with whoever they play, even if they're a 14, 15 seed.
Yeah, their biggest challenger to get to March is going to be McNeese.
McNeese is really good.
They're really good.
Stephen F. Austin coming off a win against McNeese. I think they are better. In some metrics, they're better, but even though McNeese is still the favorite for the conference, I think that people are sleeping on Stephen F. Austin. I think they're the best team in the conference for sure.
They've split that season series. Yeah. Both teams won at home, so getting that game on a neutral site will be it'll be static.
Cinema.
I'm sure that'll be the conference championship game. I think they're going to finish 1 and 2. In their conference, and so that's going to be exciting stuff.
I'm really excited for that game. Oh, I hope they don't get upset because conference tournaments, anything can happen. But I hope they play in that conference championship game.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen F. Austin, we got to represent Texas. I hope they beat McNeese. Yeah, let's go Stephen F. Austin.
Let's go Stephen F. Austin. Does that say they lost to UTA?
They did. They lost to UT Arlington. It's one of their 3 losses, and they lost to Fresno State.
Shout out UTA.
Go Bulldogs.
Derek Carr.
The last team that I will talk about is South Florida, staying here in the American. I know I'm
different American
I'm wearing
team?
South Florida green today, and so yeah, I think South Florida can really compete. This is a team that has really started to pick up steam late in the season, and that's what you need for teams that go on runs and win their conferences. Is upsetting. You got to upset Tulsa. Tulsa's going to be the favorite in the American right now, but South Florida, I'm just telling you, watch those Bulls. What, Houston? What do you have to say?
I was here, obviously, for game day last semester, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we made our prediction for the UNT South Florida game, didn't you pick South Florida in that game?
I sure did. What was the final score?
I just wanted to make sure because
What was the final
here we
score?
are with the South Florida pick
Are
again.
you a sleeper agent from South
I
Florida?
just I don't remember. What was the final
I'm
score?
starting to wonder like who you're paying your tuition to, or you know.
Oh, I know where my tuition's going. I'm well aware. Maybe that has something to do with why South Florida gets picked so much. I think the Bulls can really play. They could obviously play back in November whenever they won like 63
Stop talking
to
about that game,
30.
please.
First of
something.
all,
It's
first of
hurting
all,
me.
A lot to a little.
It's
that was
hurting me.
October.
Oh, sorry, that was October. My bad. I mean, yeah, we can move on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah, they said wrap it up. Stop talking about South Florida.
Coming up next, we will preview UNT's upcoming matchup against Florida Atlantic. Don't go anywhere here on Mean Green Mania.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and it's hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Willis Library, located at the University of North Texas. It has computers, printers, and the building is open 24/7. By going online, you can book up to an hour of reserved space in one of the many private study rooms. Many of them are equipped with whiteboards, a table, and a TV to hook up to your computer. Textbooks can be checked out for free with a student ID. They also have many of these in ebook forms. This is still a library, so always remember to be quiet and respectful of other surroundings, especially in certain places where talking is not allowed. For example, the 3rd and 4th floor are completely quiet. As you can see, Willis Library has many options for students, with it offering many media sources and staying open all the time.
Welcome back to Mean Green Mania. I am your host, Wyatt Schott. And now we get to preview UNT in their upcoming game against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic is in the midst of rebuilding, kind of. They had to replace Dusty May, who is obviously now the head coach at Michigan. They had great success under Coach May. Florida Atlantic, no one will forget the time that they nearly went to the national championship game. They were one mid-range jumper away from going.
San Diego State, right?
Against San Diego State, yeah.
A crazy Final Four game.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I think that FAU team. I actually predicted them in my bracket. I'm going to brag about myself a little bit here.
Oh, another Florida team you love?
Yeah, another Florida team I was just obsessed with.
Okay,
I
Jake.
predicted them in my bracket to go to the Elite Eight. They did not do that. They went to the Final Four.
So you were wrong.
I was wrong a little bit.
better.
I slept on the Owls just a smidge. And they made me pay for it because that was a really, really talented team. They had Vlad Golsich that ended up transferring.
Clive Golden and
Yeah,
John L. Davis.
And Elijah Martin as well. And that was a really, really talented roster. Where did Elijah Martin end up going? Florida?
Yes, it was Florida.
Now he's in the NBA. I think he's playing.
Yeah,
in
he
the
won
NBA.
national championship, right?
He sure did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he like their leading scorer on that team?
I think
Or,
so,
like,
yeah.
second leading
He was
scorer,
one of them,
something
him
like
and Walter
Walter
Clayton.
Clayton, that's
Yeah,
right.
Walter Clayton.
Yeah, so there were some really, really good players on the team. John L. Davis went to Arkansas the year after. But none of those guys play for FAU now.
Thankfully.
Thankfully for UNT.
Thank goodness for us.
Yeah, so they're in the midst of rebuild. They are 15-12. They have lost 6. Guys, I need y'all to stay with me. They have lost 6 of their last 7 games. Okay, I need everyone to calm down. I need us to be professional.
And the Big 2-6.
John's losing it. I mean, John's losing it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyways, though, they've lost 6 of their last 7. This is a team that has been slipping in American Conference play, and UNT has caught them at the right time. Can UNT capitalize on this? I mean, seriously. Are they going to be able to just win the dang game?
The thing that scares me a little bit is FAU's kind of in the position we were going into the Memphis game. They have a lot of losses and then a win versus UTSA and then a big game for their season. And I think they might be motivated to win. I think FAU is going to play really hard this game, and it scares me a little bit. I think that they could cause us some problems.
Yeah.
While it does look that way on paper, I really feel a different vibe about this FAU team than UNT. I mean, UNT was like losing like multiple, just close games in a row. When you look at some of these games are close in that 6-game losing streak that they had, but some of them are 92-65 at Memphis.
Yes.
So there's also 89-75 at South Florida.
That's a good South Florida team.
They're okay. They're okay. But I do think that I'm not going to make any hard predictions just yet, but I do think it is possible for UNT to get the win. It's still at home, so you got the home court advantage. UNT is not being great on the road this year, so that's important. Not to sound like a broken record either, but turnovers is going to come into play.
Yeah.
With Temple, we saw Temple took pretty good care of the ball, about 9 turnovers a game going into the game against UNT. FAU doesn't do that. They turn it over 12 times a game. So that's going to really come into play because as we've discussed all season long, in a game where it becomes a jump shooting game from the field and UNT just has to be the better shooting team, they lose that game 10 out of every 10 times it's played. So turnovers is going to be a really big factor in this one.
And FAU doesn't turn the ball over. They're 7th in the entire country in not turning the ball over. They just don't do it.
They turn it over 12 times a game.
I'm looking at the percentages right here, young man.
Percentages.
A lot of possessions for FAU.
I'm mistaken, Houston. North Texas defense, 7th in the entire country in forcing turnovers.
I was confused.
You're exactly
for a second.
right. I was like, what? Sorry, Houston. Well, then that's a great point as well. I mean, that's why you
just tried to
mentioned
little bro me on.
I didn't mean to. I thought that you were mistaken. I was trying to help my boy out, nudge you in the right direction. Instead, I was dead wrong. But no, you were exactly right, though, in terms of turnovers being a key factor, and this is a team that's going to be susceptible to turning the ball over. So Carson, or John, go ahead.
And yeah, I mean, this UNT team doesn't shoot the ball, so we need to force those turnovers. We need to get on the fast break, or else it is going to become a jump shooting contest versus FAU. And like you said, we have no chance that we lose to a high school team in a shooting contest. We lose to us four in a shooting contest. I mean, no matter who
in
it
this
is.
tie and this suit, I could go out and shoot better than 31%
there.
from 3 like UNT
Absolutely,
shooting.
yeah.
I think a lot of teams would lose to us in a 3-point shootout. I think we can really play. Us four, not UNT. Us four. I think we can really play. We can get Matthew out there. I mean,
well, then we're
he
losing.
Can play.
If we get Matthew, we're losing. I mean,
next week on Green Mania.
Not a bad idea. Maybe we could have a 3-point shooting contest. All right. Anyways, though, Carson, a little bit about just some of the keys to the game for us in order to take down FAU.
I think you really want to limit a guy named Devin Vanderpool. He had a great game here against USF last, I think it was a couple days ago. He had, 26 points, shot the ball efficiently, knocked down some 3-pointers. So I think limiting him early, don't let him get going early because, when guys see one go in, the ball starts to go in a little bit more. Of course, like Houston said, I'm always going to piggyback with Houston. He knows a lot of ball. Limit turnovers, do the right things right. UNT, I think, has been having a good couple games here. Despite the loss to Tulane, FAU has not had a good couple of games. They got their little win against last time. But losing what did you say 5 or 6 or 7 games is really tough at this point in the season because we're really fighting for conference tournament spot. Trying to make the March tournament and stuff like that. So I think momentum in locker room is something that you really want to look at. And UNT like they're say we're at home and maybe the Maniacs can show up, make some noise. I think UNT can win this game. I think they really should win this game, to be honest with you. Just limit guys like Vanderpool and make sure that you do the right things, the little things correctly.
I think the backcourt matchup is going to be really interesting because Terrell and Stevenson, they win off versus Tulane, and then you have Vanderpool, and you also have Josiah Parker, who we've talked a lot about freshman guards this season. Josiah Parker is probably the best in the American. He was the preseason freshman of the year, and I think that guard matchup is going to be really important. Whoever's scoring the most, whoever's shooting the best out of those 2 guard pairings is going to win the game, I think.
Let's talk about a different Josiah, the one that's coming back for us, and we saw him a little bit, only 3 minutes in the last game. I mean, yeah,
we
3
saw
minutes.
him.
We literally, we looked at him, and that's about it. But Josiah Shackelford is returning. We talked about this in our first show of the year. We thought that going into the season, Josiah Shackelford could be the best big on the team, and I think that there were flashes of that being the case at times throughout the season.
Good games
he did, yeah, he really did. I know that some of them weren't against great competition. But I think that he just showed more like physical traits and intangibles than a guy like Dylan Arnett, and especially a guy like Reese Robinson.
He looks to be the best athlete for sure.
Yes,
those 3 guys.
I agree. I think Reese Robinson also is a very good athlete, but Josiah Shackelford can really move and he can really play. Hopefully, we get him back in a bigger role. How big would that be for UNT if we got him back?
I think it would be incredible because as we were talking about before the show, with the meteoric rise of Buddy Hammer Jr. I think an extra big like Josiah Shackelford that we're already seeing some really good minutes from early in the season. I think those two guys together probably going to be off the bench, because we know Reese Robinson and Dylan Arnett are going to start pretty much from here on out. But Josiah Shackelford and Buddy Hammer Jr., I'm looking forward to have potentially big games together for the rest of the season if we get Josiah back in a unlimited minute role going forward.
That duo also is what I was going to mention. I think Buddy Hammer and Shackelford, that could elevate our defense to a new level. I think those might be our two best defenders, especially in the big position. I think they are our best defenders at the position. And I think those two playing together, we could limit teams under 50 points with them two playing. I think we could be really, really good defensively with them too.
Yeah.
I think he's a great energy guy. He comes in and he makes things happen. Like similar to Dylan. I like Dylan. I like Dylan already. He's good, But he comes in, he gives some grit and grind. So I think Shackelford is a good health. How do I say this? He's a good pickup in terms of coming off the injury list for the Mean Green. I like Buddy Hammer and him. Buddy Hammer coming in and helping the team out defensively. I think sometimes teams get down low and they can really apply pressure on the goal. I think Shackelford comes in, he affects that with his athleticism, ability to rebound at times whenever he does get minutes. And at a point in the season, whenever you're having some success recently, a guy like that coming back, giving you energy, giving you a defensive presence, and just overall communication on the defensive end is really key against teams that are in confidence fighting for a position.
I do wonder when he gets back to full minutes, though, because like you said, 3 minutes versus Tulane. I wanted to know when he gets to that unlimited minutes count, because I want that soon. I want it before the conference tournament so he can have some time to gel with the team.
What was the injury? What did you hear?
It was a foot injury.
He was in a boot for a while, so I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it takes some time to get back.
Right.
Definitely.
So right now, as things stand, Florida Atlantic is 7-7 in conference. North Texas is 6-8. They sit at 9th in the conference. North Texas sits at 10th. So this game whoever wins this is going to slot up one more. And so then y'all are fighting Charlotte and Tulane and Temple for that next team in.
You could really slide up more than that too, because there's a lot of games being played this weekend, and there's a lot of teams kind of like packed in there in that like 6th through 11 spot. So depending on who loses, a win here could literally bring you up to like 8th or 7th.
Yeah, Memphis, Temple, Tulane, and Charlotte are all 7 and 6 in conference play, and then we have FAU and us right below them at 7 and 7 and then 6 and 8. So there are multiple opportunities that are going to present themselves for the rest of the year as things wind down for you to slot up and make that top 8 in order to qualify for the American Conference Tournament. Top 10 to qualify for the American Conference Tournament. You just don't want to fall below Rice, and that is kind of the scary thing right now because of our loss to Rice. And so
we do play them again though to avenge that loss.
There's a chance we could avenge it if we lose that game.
We could lose the second time.
If we lose that game, I think the season's over. Is that fair to say?
Probably, yeah.
I think so.
I think it is. Yeah, I think that's senior night.
March 4th.
Yeah, so if we
got the calendar marked.
If we lose,
it's circles.
Oh, okay.
Revenge day. It's Judgment Day for Rice.
Every day with a dartboard.
Right.
Yeah.
Wake up. Oh, I hate owls.
Who are they?
Oh God, John.
That was terrible.
John, you're done. You're in timeout for the rest of the block. No more talking. But no, in terms of conference play though, those are kind of the main competition. Do you see us, Houston, making that conference tournament appearance with the top 10 seed? Like, do you see us winning against Rice in the second matchup and us ultimately winning enough games to get in?
I do, yeah. I think that really the main game that worries me left on the schedule is at UAB. I think that's 3 games away at this point. We still have FAU and Charlotte before them. I think that realistically we could go 3-1. I think that 2-2, as long as one of the 2 wins is Rice, probably slides you into that 10 spot. But I really think that we could go 3-1 with as easy as our remaining schedule is, and potentially move up to even the 8th seed or something, and maybe give ourselves a little bit more favorable chance to make a run in the tournament.
You say how easy our schedule is, but I mean these teams are teams that are better than us in the conference, and we have not been winning those easy games this season.
This is true. But I think that even with the loss against Tulane, I mean that we let that one get away from us, but we really played a lot better against Tulane than we have for the rest of the season. And we had a 3-game winning streak going against some. I know UTSA isn't great, but Memphis and Temple are good. So I had a couple good wins that we wouldn't have won early in the season. So
that's definitely fair. Yeah, I do agree that I think we beat Rice. I do think we make the tournament. But I will say I've been giving Coach Robinson time all season. If we miss the conference tournament, I think that's a bridge too far for me. I think that should be his job if we miss the tournament.
Really, after year one?
Missing the conference tournament, like I understand a rough season, a rebuilding season, but this is North Texas. This is a team that's a consistent postseason team. to miss the conference tournament, that's just too much for me. I cannot have that for my coach, especially with some of the games that he's had this year with the coaching issues, especially, I mean, against Tulane, we saw that, so I would definitely fire him.
Yeah, understandable. With 4 games left, Florida Atlantic, Charlotte, UAB, and Rice. So those will be the 4 the UNT has to win. We'll see what their record is through those 4. But coming up next, we'll break down some of the biggest games in all of college basketball coming up throughout this next week, back here on Mean Green Mania.
The do's and don'ts of the Pole Rec Center. See that man over there? Please do not hog weights. Instead, do this. Another important part is having an attentive spotter. See, here is an example of a non-attentive spotter. Instead, do this. Now we head to the track, which should be pretty easy, just it's important to pay attention to the way the track goes. Remember to wipe down the equipment after you're done using it. The towels are provided by the gym, so it's pretty easy to wipe down the equipment when you are done. Thank you for using the Pole Recreation Center.
I use Flex to buy my favorite snacks.
I use Flex to get me through my mornings.
I use Flex at my favorite campus restaurants.
I love how Flex is a cashless payment method and can be used at all campus dining venues.
So, how do you use Flex?
And finally, we get to recap, or excuse me, predict some of the biggest games in all of college basketball coming up throughout this next week. A lot of them happening this weekend. We're going to start it off in the state of Tennessee, where the Vols take on the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Tennessee has had a little bit of a disappointing season this year compared to their standards that they've had under Rick Barnes, where lots of success, maybe not in March, but lots of success in the regular season. But this year, though, it's been the flip side. Vanderbilt has really dominated the state of Tennessee. They have been really, really good. I mean, there's a ton of quality players on that Vanderbilt team. The point guard, his name is, I can't
Tyler
remember.
Tanner.
Tyler Tanner. I wanted to say Tristan Tanner. I was like, I know it's not right. Tyler Tanner, I mean, he has been an explosive guard for them this year.
That's a small guard I love.
Yes, yeah, he can really play. And so I got Vanderbilt in this one. I think that they're going to win. They get him at home, so I think they'll take down the Vols, and it will be a big win for that program.
I'm also going to take Vanderbilt for this one for reasons somewhat unrelated to the stat sheet. I just think that with it being a home rivalry game, and rivalries like that, Vandy and Tennessee, where Tennessee normally dominates, when Vandy finally has a roster that can compete with Tennessee, you really have to be careful about picking Tennessee in that situation. Also with Vandy being, they're 2-2 in their last 4, and those 2 games come by 1 point. Those 2 losses come by 1 point. With it being their home game in the rivalry, I'm looking for Vandy to go ahead and take advantage of home court advantage here.
I got Vanderbilt, and it kind of goes to what they did really in football this year. They had a listen, hear me out, because Vanderbilt, has been kind of the joke of the SEC almost. It's like, you got all these big schools, Bama, Georgia, all these people who in the SEC are just so prominent. And Vanderbilt has come on the rise here. They're showing, we're in the SEC for a reason. I think just going off that vibe they have on campus now. Granted, I don't even know where Vanderbilt is. I think it's in Nashville. It's in Nashville. Okay, so down in Nashville.
Terrible city.
What's wrong with Nashville? But there's the momentum and the vibes that have been going on there. They had a great football season. They're having a great basketball season. I think they'll take this rivalry game against Tennessee just because of the energy, the vibe, everything you love about college basketball. I think they'll do well. Crowd will get into it, and I like Vanderbilt winning by double digits here.
Even women's basketball has been up this year for Vanderbilt. Every program is up for Vanderbilt.
NIL era.
True. Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm gonna be the hipster over here. I'm going Tennessee, and I have 2 words for you: Nate Ament, Showtime TV.
Must watch TV.
Must watch TV. Nate Ament started off the season rough. He wasn't great, but this second half of the season, especially once we get to conference play, Nate Ament has been what you wanted: a 6'10", just dominating force on defense and on offense. And I don't think Vanderbilt has anyone who can match up with him defensively. I expect him to score 20+ in this game. I expect him to have a really, really big game, and I think he's going to lead them to victory.
I watched Nate Ament for the first time against Arkansas in his SEC debut, and it was one of the worst performances from a 5-star freshman I had ever seen.
completely garbage and terrible at the beginning of the season, but like as
No,
it's come
yeah.
on, he's gotten so much more comfortable, and I've been really impressed by them. So
Yeah, he is. I'm not knocking him as a player. He's developed just fine, and I think he'll get drafted in the NBA first round probably. But man, that game against Arkansas, that's like etched into my memory.
That's how it is for some players.
of
You just
who
remember
Nate
that one
is.
game where
Yes.
they shot 0 for 15. You're like, oh yeah, this guy is never going to be good.
But moving on, we will go ahead and take a look at another marquee game besides Duke and Michigan. I mean, this is another top 5 matchup, top 4 matchup.
We got Final Four on like a random Saturday.
I know.
Right.
It's
What's that all
awesome.
about?
I don't know, but it's great.
I saw those games like next to each other. I was like, whoa, we got seeds? Like,
Yeah.
1-3, 2-4. What's going on?
Yeah, so number 4 Arizona taking on number 2 Houston in Houston, and for that reason alone, I am going to go ahead and take the Cougars. Houston, it's for you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no, I think that Kingston Fleming and those guys are going to be able to put on a show. I think Arizona is suffering kind of the same plague that Nebraska is facing, where you start off the year so scorching hot that you have to come back down to earth at some point. They have, and they've lost a handful of games recently. I know they've also been dealing with some injuries. I know Koa Pete didn't play, and so I'm going to take Houston. I think Houston wins. And I think they win comfortably, actually.
I love Koa Pete and I love Braden Burries, but I'm also going to go with the Cougars in this situation. At home, it's a hostile environment. I think Houston has the experience edge with Milos Uzan and Sharp. His first name slips my memory.
Emmanuel.
Houston has the experience edge. Old man Houston has the experience edge.
Shut up, dude. Okay. Anyways, lost my train of thought. Right, Arizona. They turn the ball over about 11 times a game, and they also want to go fast. You know, they're averaging over 87 points a game offensively, so that's a team that really wants to fill it up offensively. And I don't know if they can do that against Houston. I mean, that's one of the best defensive teams in the country, man. They really do play tough defense down there in Houston. We talked about it either last week or the week before on the show. I love Kelvin Sampson and the way he runs that team. I'm really impressed with the way that a team like Houston has the freshmen come in and have their seat at the table, and then they've got the guys that have been here on this championship run or finals run they had last year also have their seat at the table, and it's a nice mixture of both, like experience and youth on the team, and that's a scary combo when it gets to this point of the season when they have like both sides of that. So I'm going to go with the Cougars in this one.
That's a big clash of styles when it comes to pace.
Yeah.
You know, Arizona wants to run, and Houston wants to grind things out and slow it down. So I'm interested to see how
Houston
that
loves
works
to
out.
grind.
They do. Shout out Houston. All right, Carson, who do you got in this one?
I got the Cougars as well. I'm a big fan of coaching in college basketball, which of course coaches matter, but Kelvin Sampson, I think he's really hungry. That last year that loss in the finals was devastating for them. Like Houston mentioned, merging those freshman success of Kingston Fleming, aka my twin. Someone called me him yesterday. I was like, I kind of do it like that.
Yeah, you do.
He's played.
Wait, actually, think about that.
But yeah, he's played phenomenal basketball this year. It's been a great year for freshmen all around. It's going to be a hostile environment down there. And Arizona, I think they've kind of slipping, like you mentioned. They had a scorching hot start. They've kind of been struggling here. We've got some nagging injuries for Koa Pete. I think really, if Arizona is home, I think I would lead Arizona. But I'm really a big believer in home court advantage, and Houston has that. So I'm going with Cougars.
I'm going to give Arizona some respect. I feel like everyone's sleeping on him. We're talking about coaching and Kelvin Sampson. Yes, he's great, but Tommy Lloyd is one of the best coaches in the nation, too. And we're talking about elite freshmen. Braden Burries and Koa Pete are also elite. You mentioned them, but I think this Arizona team is really good. And even though they've struggled recently, I think they're going to get back onto their early season pace. And I think that this Houston game is a good start for them to get that momentum. And I think they're going to win now,
I was going to say, you changed your pick. We got a
he just
classic
wants to be different, bro.
pick switch. I know that the graphics,
in Arizona.
I'm sure the graphics people are elated that you decided to switch.
You're welcome, guys.
Moving on, though, Illinois is traveling to UCLA, and I think this one is not going to be close. UCLA is a team that, as we mentioned earlier in the show, just slipping with the fireworks behind the scenes with Mick Cronin. I got Illinois winning and dominating. Keaton Wagler is really, really good.
Yeah. That's really all that needs to be said about that. I mean,
and Stojakovic is back. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
The best bitch on Illinois.
Yeah, the Balkan block.
For real.
I think we've seen UCLA traveling to Michigan and to Michigan State the way that they can compete with a top-level team like that, or rather the way that they can't compete with it. They lost by 30 and 23 against those two teams. Keaton Wagler is just incredible. And, we saw, like I said, with what UCLA can do against those two teams and with everything with Coach Cronin and the media, you got to wonder if that's distracting the team in some way. I mean, he's spending time instead of working on game plan, figuring out with the PR team what he's going to say to the media for throwing his own darn player out of the game. So, I'm going with Illinois, and I'm with you. I don't really think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, guys.
Give me Moral Mick. Give me Mick Cronin and UCLA.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. I think
he changed his pick again.
I think that all the media around them, I think they're going to lock in and they're going to prove to the media that this is still UCLA. This is still Mick Cronin. He's had success in the tournament. This is a good, talented team. They have players on that team. Give me Mick Cronin.
I'm hating. Bad.
Yeah.
Carson?
Everything he said, I disagree with. I got Illinois. Honestly, I'm being a little biased. I want UCLA to get dominated almost. I want their coach to be humbled in a way. Like I said earlier, it's really a disgrace what he did. It really makes me upset about that. Illinois, of course, let's talk about them, has had a great season. Keaton Wagler, amazing player, big time performances. And I just think they'll get out early. The game won't be close. Give me Illinois.
All right, moving on. It's the tail of the tape really with this one. Michigan versus Duke, neutral site in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol. This is going to be an electric matchup. I got Michigan winning this one. I think that Michigan is one of the best teams that we've seen in recent college basketball. Probably the best team since that championship team of UConn with Steph Castle, Tristan Newton, and Donovan Clingan. I think that Michigan is probably the best team the sport has seen since then. I think that you have to make at least 10 three-pointers. You have to make 10 threes in a game if you would knock off this Michigan team. You're not going to score inside. It's just not going to happen. And the guard play for Michigan has really elevated this year with Elliot Cadeau specifically that has stepped up in a really big way. Duke is averaging around 8.5 threes a game this season, and that's not going to cut it against this Michigan team. If you only make 8 threes, you're not going to win. You're going to need shooting from Cam Boozer. You're going to need shooting from Isaiah Evans. You're going to need shooting from a couple of other guys as well if you're going to win this one. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. I think the Michigan offense is going to thrive as well. You got guys like Yaxel Lundenberg that's going to really – he's come on big lately, and he started the season red hot, and then Michigan started blowing teams out so bad, and he was dealing with a little lingering injury that they just don't play him in second halves anymore because they don't need to. And so the numbers might not be there, but Yaxel Lundenberg is one of the best players in all of college basketball. If he had more minutes, he would be a Naismith Player of the Year kind of candidate. And so, yeah, I got Michigan in this one. I think that they're going to win, and I think that it's going to be close. I think that these are two of the best teams in all college basketball. This could be a national championship preview, but I got the Wolverines.
I think the Cameron Boozer shooting is a big part of it. I was going to mention that because Ade Mara, he has been insane at his rim protection this year, but you can take advantage of him in drop coverage. You can get your big shooting. You need those stretch bigs to make those threes. And Cameron Boozer, I think, for Duke to have a chance, is going to have to make 5+ threes, and that's a big ask for him. He's a good shooter, but 5+ threes against this Michigan team, it's a big ask, and I don't know if they can do it. So I think I agree with you. Michigan just has so much talent. They're so well coached. I think they can beat Duke.
I'm going to go a little bit different direction than that. Kind of what you said earlier about, I think it was Arizona we were talking about when you said they get on those big win streaks and at some point they have to come back to earth. We saw, Michigan start the season off that way, and then they kind of came back to earth with that Wisconsin loss. They're on an 11-game win streak right now, so I'm kind of wondering if it's another moment for that to happen. Also, I just have a hard time picking against Duke after that UNC loss. I mean, that's probably the harshest rivalry in college basketball, and they lost in the worst way on a buzzer-beating 3 with a court storm. Yeah, that's the worst way to lose, and they've just been dismantling these last few teams since then. I don't know if I'd take Duke to lose. Definitely not another. I know it's technically isn't a home game for them, but it's a lot closer to Duke than Michigan. I wouldn't take Duke to lose another home game. Maybe not another game all year after that. I mean, they seem to be just on a tear, so I'm going with the Blue Devils in this one.
I hate that this game is Washington, D.C. Let me just say quick. Come
on,
on,
should be on campus.
Put it on campus. Like Washington, D.C. is just lame in general, but yeah.
I commend them for scheduling this game, though.
Absolutely,
both schools.
amazing, incredible.
Because both schools could have just been like, hey, we're in the middle of conference play. They don't know how good they're going to be. It's like, hey, maybe we really need to focus on conference play. But they scheduled this game late February. Neutral site, whatever. I commend them for scheduling the game in general. Carson, who you got in this one?
I like Duke. You mentioned. I think I really agree with that. Duke's gonna have to have a big 3-point shooting game. Like you mentioned, it sucks that it's a neutral site game. If it was in Cameron Indoor, give me Duke by a lot. I think it's gonna come down to the wire. And my X factor for this game is Isaiah Evans. I spoke about him last weekend, I believe, and he's having a great season. He's been shooting the ball really well. I expect them to have a big game. Come down and really contribute. What Houston said, that sour taste in their mouth. That. It's just, that's a terrible way to lose, especially I feel like I'm almost a Duke fan thinking of it in the perspective. But I look for Isaiah Evans to have a big game, Cameron Boozer to have a good game. And to be honest, I'm just a bigger believer in Duke Stars versus Michigan Stars. So for that reason, I go with Blue Devils.
In Michigan's sole loss this year to Wisconsin, the Badgers shot 15 for 33 from 3. That was the most 3-pointers they've made at any game at any point this season. you got to have one of those performances in my mind to beat Michigan. I think that was more of a fluke win. I don't think that's a
sustainable.
demerit.
You don't think 15 for 33 sustainable?
Don't think so. I don't think that's much of a demerit. They only lost by 3 also. I mean, it was on the road as well. I just think that Michigan is better than that, and it's college basketball. You play so many games, these things happen. Moving on though, number 6 Iowa State traveling to Provo to take on number 23 BYU with AJ DeBonta. But as you mentioned earlier, Carson, Richie Saunders out for the rest of the season with an ACL injury. And so now a shorthanded BYU gets a red-hot Iowa State at home. I'm going to take the Cyclones in this one. I think they're playing their best basketball of the year down the stretch.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to take the Cyclones as well. They've strung together back-to-back wins against top 10 opponents. They're shooting just shy of 40% from 3 on the season. BYU, on the other hand, is not playing the best basketball. They've lost 6 of the last 9, as I mentioned earlier. AJ DeBonta has scored over 25 points in 4 different losses this season, including 35 against Arizona just the other day. And that's just not a good recipe at this point of the season. So I'm going to take Iowa State to take down the Soakers in this one.
Yep, that's right. What a throwback. Those who watch the Green Game Day know. Carson, go ahead and please get us off this topic.
I also have Iowa State. I was sleeping on them for no reason. Like I said, Pop-Tarts instead of cereal. But these things happen.
The cancer.
I've spoken about all show. 3-point shooting is such a huge thing. Richie Saunders, he made big shots. I want to say against Arizona where he had a great game, knocked down crucial shots. AJ DeBonta, I think will get his buckets. I just don't necessarily believe in the other guys outside of Rob Away on the BYU team. Iowa State's just red hot. They'll get off to a fast start. They'll shoot the ball well, defend well. AJ DeBonta, I think he'll score over 20 points for sure today. But Iowa State just as a collective whole as a team has been playing great. Give me Iowa State.
I have Iowa State, but I have the exact opposite opinion than you. I think AJ DeBonta is really going to struggle versus Iowa State defense. Under 15 points, guarantee it right now on this show. I think AJ DeBonta is going to have he's going to shoot 2 dates. I think Iowa State's going to have him in hell. I think that they're going to really struggle, and I think it's going to be a double-digit win. I think Iowa State's going to blow the doors off of BYU. I don't know why. I'm just feeling AJ DeBonta is going to really struggle against his defense. I think Iowa State's scheme is really nice, and I think that they're going to blow him out.
Yeah, definitely possible. Now it's time for the real tale of the tape, the game that everybody in the country is looking forward to. UNT versus Florida Atlantic in the Super Pit. I got UNT winning this one. I think that the Meanie Greenies are going to be able to take down the Owls. I just don't think the FAU's got a lot of gas left in the tank. I think that they're playing some of their worst basketball of the season down the stretch. So I got UNT winning this one at home in front of the packed out, or the sold out, packed stadium of the Super Pit. Yeah.
Packed out?
I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not.
A UNT game's not sold out?
A UNT game is not sold out. A UNT game on a Sunday nap time is definitely not sold out. I'm going to also, I guess we're calling them the Meanie Greenies now.
The Eagles.
I'm going to also go with the Meanie Greenies. FAU, they average over 80 points a game, but they don't exactly shoot it at the highest clip, 46%. I think that a team that doesn't shoot all that well works to our favor because we don't shoot it that well. And
we don't shoot it that much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I prefer to shoot it less than more.
I agree.
When you see us shoot the ball, I wake up in cold sweat still thinking about Dylan Arnett doing this. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Meanie Greenies to make a move up the conference and get back after that Tulane loss.
Carson?
Yeah, same here. I got North Texas just because of the ability to grit and grind. I think they'll out-grit and grind the Owls of Florida Atlantic. I looked for Jay Sean to actually have a great game. He kind of struggled last game. Didn't shoot the ball the best. I think he'll get downhill, get some easy buckets early on. I think Shackelford, like we mentioned earlier, will also make his impact felt tonight, or that's tomorrow afternoon. Excuse me, not tonight. But yeah, give me North Texas just because I think they'll grit and grind them better. They'll limit the turnovers. Do the right things, the little things correctly, and they'll come out with a win.
John?
I hate to be the hipster one last time. I hate to, but I have to pick FAU.
I think you're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I didn't change my pick this time. I stuck with FAU. But I think the guard rotation with FAU, Josiah Parker, they have Cannon Carlisle, a former overtime elite player who played at Stanford. I mean, they just have so much talent in the backcourt and better shooting than us where I think we're going to struggle, and I think that they're going to outshoot us, and I think they're going to win because our shooting is so inconsistent. We have these games where we just don't score the ball, and I think that this is going to be one of them. I think FAU is going to take the win, sadly.
Our shooting is not inconsistent. It's consistent. It's just consistently bad.
That's fair, yeah.
Let's attack John the same way I would get attacked when I would pick against.
Yeah, but you love USF. You're in love with them.
Oh yeah, you're just like a Florida guy.
He had a different colored tie until that USF game, and he wore that USF green tie.
No, I didn't. This is the only tie that I have.
He bought that for the game, actually. Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching on Mean Green Mania. I've been your host, White Shot, alongside Houston Hall, Carson Stark, and John Phillips. We will be back next week to recap what went down in that FAU game and also some of the bigger games in college basketball. So thank you so much for watching on Mean Green Mania.